What if a house wasn't empty, but waiting, watching your every move, counting your breaths, and choosing the perfect moment to act? This story takes place in a quiet coastal town called Ocean Falls, a peaceful place where the sound of waves brings comfort, except on Blackville Street. At the end of that street stands an old, abandoned house. Locals call it Blackville House. No one knows exactly when the house became cursed, but everyone agrees on one thing: no one who stays there is ever the same. Years ago, 3 college students, Maya, Evelyn, and Roshni, moved into the house, ignoring all the warnings. The first few nights were normal, until the 5th night. At 2:17 a.m., Maya suddenly felt an icy grip wrapped tightly around her wrist. She screamed. There was no one in the room. Terrified, the girls ran outside and called the police. Officer Daniel Cross arrived minutes later. As he stepped onto the porch, a woman's voice whispered from inside the house, "This house is mine." The lights inside went out instantly, and that was just the beginning. The darkness inside Blackville House felt heavy. Officer Daniel Cross turned on his flashlight, but the beam barely cut through the shadows. Suddenly, a loud crash came from upstairs. The front door slammed shut behind him. Outside, the girls screamed. Inside, Daniel felt something grab his arm. A rough, calloused hand, invisible but powerful. A voice whispered into his ear, "You're not leaving." His flashlight caught a shadow on the wall, a floating female figure. No arms, no legs. Then he heard a child crying, "Mom, please help me." Daniel was lifted off the ground. For nearly an hour, the house shook violently. When the door finally opened, Daniel collapsed onto the porch. Bruise marks shaped like fingers were visible around his neck. He gasped out one sentence: "Whatever's in that house never left." 60 years earlier, Blackville House belonged to Haruto Yamakawa. He lived there with his wife Aiko and their 2 children, Ren and Mika. One day, neighbors reported a foul smell. Police discovered Aiko and Ren's dismembered bodies buried in the garden, but Mika was never found. Haruto disappeared. Days later, his body washed up on the beach, officially ruled a suicide. After that, people began hearing a little girl crying inside the empty house. Small handprints appeared on the windows. Locals believed the house had created something dark, a spirit born from rage and betrayal, and it wasn't done yet. Years later, 2 women, Luna Parker and Sarah Wilson, moved into Blackville House. They didn't believe in ghosts. Then Luna started dating Marco Hill. Marco became obsessive. Violent arguments followed. One night, neighbors heard screaming. Police found Luna and Sarah strangled to death. Marco was found hanging upstairs. But the autopsy revealed something disturbing: finger marks on Marco's arms that weren't his own. The house was sealed again, but the anger inside only grew stronger. In 1991, Kenji Takahashi and his wife Naomi moved in. Their first night was quiet. At midnight, Naomi woke up freezing. Floating in the room was a pale white woman. No arms, no legs, no eyes. When Naomi tried to wake Kenji, the figure vanished. A priest named Father Elias Mori was called. He warned them, "This is not a ghost, it's a spirit born of violent death." They were told to leave offerings of bread and water. After 7 nights, The activity stopped, but the priest left them with a warning. If hatred returns to this house, the spirit will become far worse. In 1948, a single mother, Margaret Cole, lived there with her 3 children. One night, police were called. They arrived to see the children being thrown around the room by an invisible force, strangled, slammed into walls. The officers watched helplessly for over an hour. Suddenly, it stopped. All 3 children survived, but the house whispered, "This isn't over." The next day's headline read, "Unexplainable Attack at Blackville House." Years later, 3 women, Rena, Claire, and Sophie, fled the house and called police. Officer Michael Reyes escorted them. On the road, their car stopped suddenly. Sophie began choking. Invisible hands wrapped around her neck. The car door flew open. She was thrown onto the pavement. She died in front of everyone. Cause of death? Strangulation. No human fingerprints found. Officer Reyes resigned the next day.
Paranormal expert Dr. Edward Holloway investigated. He concluded the spirit was Mika Yamakawa. Her body was never buried. Her soul remained trapped. Other murders fed her anger. She targeted women and mothers. Unless her remains were found, the house would never be free.
A final excavation took place. Behind a basement wall, a small wooden box was found. Inside, a child's bones and a torn doll dress. The house shook violently. A voice screamed, "It's too late!" The remains were buried properly. The house went silent. But that night, a white figure appeared in the upstairs window, smiling. Today, Blackville House remains abandoned, yet lights appear in the windows. Cars stall in front of it. People hear whispers, "Come inside." Attempts to demolish the house always fail, because some places aren't just haunted, they're hungry. If you enjoy true-style horror stories like this, like, follow, and subscribe for more. Comment below, would you spend one night in Blackville House? The next story will be even darker.